With payment schedules this month, May 2025.
Right, potential hiccups there. We've sifted through the info from CNET and Finger Lakes One to, unpack what you really need to know.
Okay, so let's kick things off looking ahead to 2026. The COLA, the cost of living adjustment.
Exactly. Now, COLA, just as a quick reminder for maybe newer listeners, it's that annual adjustment to Social Security benefits,
Helps keep pace with inflation.
right? Pretty much. It's designed to reflect the average change in prices for, well, everyday goods and services. It's tied to an index called the CPI-W.
The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. Bit of a mouthful.
It is. Think of it like a measuring stick for how much the cost of living has, gone up or down for a specific group.
Okay. And the official number for 2026, that won't be out until October 2025, so quite a ways off.
Still a while, yeah. But experts are already crunching numbers and making predictions.
And what are they saying?
Well, the Senior Citizens League, they're a nonpartisan group that watches this stuff closely. Back in January, they initially thought maybe 2.1% for the 2026 COLA.
Okay, 2.1.
But things change, inflation data comes in. Their latest prediction, this was as of April, nudged it up a little bit to 2.4%.
2.4%. Now that sounds kind of low compared to recent years.
It really does. In fact, the league is saying this could be the lowest COLA we've seen since back in 2021 when it was only 1.3%.
Wow. Yeah, because 2025 was 2.5%, right?
Correct. And that was already down from 3.2% in 2024. And remember, 2023, that huge 8.7% jump.
Hard to forget that one. So 2.4% feels quite different.
It does. And, they also mentioned potential economic uncertainty, maybe linked to things like the Trump administration's tariff agenda could factor in, but that's more speculative at this point.
So this predicted lower CLA, it brings up that whole debate about how it's calculated, doesn't it, using the CPI-W.
Exactly. The Senior Citizens League did a study, actually, and found something pretty striking. 72% of older adults surveyed think Congress should use a different index.
Like the CPIE, the one for the elderly.
Precisely. They feel the CPIE would better reflect the actual spending habits and costs that seniors face, which can be different from, say, urban wage earners.
Yeah, things like healthcare costs often weigh more heavily, right?
That's a big part of the argument. The CPI-W might not capture that specific inflation impact accurately for retirees. So it's an ongoing discussion, whether the current CLA truly keeps purchasing power level for beneficiaries.
Definitely something to watch. And CLA doesn't just hit Social Security retirement benefits, does it?
No, not at all. It has a ripple effect. It also impacts Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI,
Okay.
and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, even things like Medicare premiums and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
So quite a few government benefits are tied to this single calculation.
That's right. It has a pretty wide reach.
Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about this month, May 2025. Some folks might be worried if their payment hasn't shown up exactly when they thought it would.
Yeah, we've seen some chatter about that. It's easy to get anxious when you're expecting that deposit.
Totally. So if someone thought their payment was due, say, May 21st, yesterday, and it's not there, what's likely going on?
Well, most likely it's just down to the standard payment schedule. Social Security generally pays benefits out on Wednesdays.
Right, and it depends on your birthday.
Exactly. So if your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of the month, you're in Group 2. Your payment should have gone out on May 8th, the second Wednesday.
Okay.
If your birthday is between the 11th and the 20th, that's Group 3. Your payment was scheduled for the third Wednesday, May 15th.
And then the last group.
That's Group 4, for birthdays between the 21st and the 31st. Their payments are scheduled for the fourth Wednesday of the month, which, for May 2025, is tomorrow, May 22nd.
Ah, okay. So if you were expecting it on the 21st, you're probably in that last group, and it's actually due tomorrow.
Very likely, yes. And just quickly, for SSI recipients, those payments usually land on the 1st of the month.
Right.
And for people on SSDI or anyone who started getting benefits way back before May 1997, they typically get paid on the 3rd of the month.
Got it. So check that birth date range first. But, okay, what if the scheduled date has passed, like for someone in Group 2 or 3, and the money still isn't there? Are there actual reasons for delays?
Yes, sometimes things can cause a slight lag. It's not always common, but it happens. For instance, your bank might have a processing cutoff time.
Like after 5 p.m. or something?
Yeah, exactly. If the deposit arrives after their cutoff, it might not show up until the next business day.
Makes sense. What else?
Recently, changing your bank account information or your mailing address with the SSA can sometimes cause a temporary hiccup while the system updates. And, internal SSA processing things or even federal holidays falling awkwardly, though that's not the case this month, can sometimes shift things slightly.
What about things like prepaid debit cards?
That's another one. Depending on the specific card issuer and their network, transfers to prepaid debit cards might sometimes take a little longer than direct deposits to traditional bank accounts.
And I think the source mentioned something about location.
Yeah, interestingly, sometimes folks in very rural ZIP codes or those who bank with smaller credit unions instead of the big national banks might see a lag, maybe like 24 hours sometimes, just due to slightly different processing networks or timelines.
Okay, so a few potential culprits.
Hmm.
If someone's genuinely past their date, what's the first thing they should do? Panic.
Haha, no, definitely don't panic.
Hmm.
The very first, easiest step is to log into your My Social Security account online.
On the SSA website.
Yep, ssa.gov. You can usually see your payment status right there if it's been issued.
Okay, check online first. Then what?
Then, give your bank a call. Just check with them directly to make sure there wasn't an issue on their end, like a hold or something unexpected.
Right. And if the bank says, nope, nothing here, and it's still missing,
Then you need to wait, and this is important. The SSA asks you to wait at least 3 full business days past your scheduled payment date before contacting them.
3 business days.
Oh.
Okay, that's key. They don't consider it officially late until after that window.
Correct. Give the banking system time to work things out.
And if it is past those 3 days, how do you contact the SSA?
The main number is 1-800-772-1213. You can also find resources and potentially report issues through their website, www.ssa.gov, or again, through your My Social Security account login.
Good info. And the
Yeah.
big takeaway here really is prevention, right?
Absolutely. The best thing you can do, whether you've had an issue or not, is to log into your My Social Security account periodically and just double check that everything is up to date.
Your direct deposit info, your mailing address.
Exactly. Accurate information is the best defense against payment problems down the road.
Okay, let's shift one last time. Let's talk longer term. This big cloud that hangs over Social Security sometimes, the idea that it's, going broke.
Right, that phrase gets thrown around a lot, and it causes understandable anxiety. But it's important to clarify, Social Security isn't really structured to just go broke in the traditional sense.
Because it's funded primarily by ongoing payroll taxes.
Exactly. As long as people are working and paying into the system, there's revenue coming in to pay benefits. It's not like a pension fund that can just run dry completely.
Okay, so it won't just vanish.
Yeah.
But there was a projected shortfall, right? What's causing that?
The main challenge is demographic.
Yeah.
We have the large baby boomer generation retiring and drawing benefits now.
Okay.
And the generation following them, the workforce paying in, is smaller. So over time, the money going out in benefits is projected to exceed the money coming in from taxes.
And the trust funds, those reserve funds we hear about.
Yes, Social Security has built up reserves, trust funds, from years when it took in more than it paid out. Those funds can be used to cover the gap for a while.
But not forever.
Not forever, no. Current projections, if nothing changes, suggest those trust funds could be depleted in about, roughly 10 years or so.
And if that happens, then what?
If Congress doesn't act before then, it could mean automatic, across-the-board benefit cuts would be required by law to match the lower incoming revenue. Nobody wants that.
Right. So what are lawmakers talking about doing to prevent that? What are the options on the table?
There are several potential solutions, often discussed in combination. One is possibly raising the full retirement age gradually.
Meaning people would have to work longer to get their full benefit.
Correct. Another major option is, increasing revenue. And the main way to do that is through Social Security taxes.
And that's something people are worried about.
It seems so. That Employee Benefit Research Institute survey found 39% of workers are concerned about potentially paying higher Social Security taxes.
So how could taxes go up? What would that look like?
There are really 2 main levers they could pull. First, they could just raise the tax rate.
The 12.4% rate.
Yeah, right now it's 12.4% total. Most employees pay 6.2% from their checks, and their employer matches that 6.2%.
And self-employed people pay the whole 12.4%.
Right, so they could increase that percentage. A higher rate means more money collected from every dollar earned up to the cap.
Okay, raise the rate. What's the other lever?
The other one is the wage cap. Currently, you only pay Social Security taxes on your earnings up to a certain amount each year.
For 2025, that's $176,100.
Correct. Any income above that $176,100 isn't subject to the Social Security tax.
So they could raise that cap. Or even get rid of it completely.
Exactly. Raising it or eliminating it entirely would mean higher income earners pay the tax on more, or potentially all, of their earnings. That would definitely bring in more revenue.
That sounds like it might target higher earners more directly than a rate increase.
It would, on the revenue side.
Yeah.
But it gets a little complicated because Social Security benefits are also linked to how much you paid in. There's a maximum possible monthly benefit. So if you make people pay taxes on much higher earnings by raising or removing the cap, the question becomes, should their potential maximum benefit also increase significantly?
Right, for it to be equitable maybe.
Potentially. But if the maximum benefit goes way up too, that eats into the extra revenue gained. So figuring out how to adjust the cap and potentially the benefit formula together is, well, it's a complex balancing act lawmakers would have to navigate carefully.
Definitely sounds tricky. So, lots to consider beyond just whether this month's payment is on time. Big picture stuff for the future.
Absolutely. So just to kind of wrap up the main points today, for 2026, the early predictions are pointing towards a potentially lower CLA, maybe around 2.4%, could be one of the smaller ones recently.
Yeah, and for May 2025 payments, if yours seems late, especially if you expected it yesterday, the 21st, double check your birthday group. It's probably scheduled for tomorrow, the 22nd.
Right. And minor delays can happen due to bank processing, or if you've updated your info recently, check your My Social Security account first, then your bank, and wait those 3 business days before calling the SSA.
And finally, that longer-term picture. Social Security isn't going broke, but there's a projected shortfall that Congress will likely need to address, possibly through changes like tax adjustments.
Exactly. Ongoing discussions about ensuring its financial health for decades to come.
Which leads us to our final thought for you today. Considering, the potential for maybe lower 2LAs down the line, and these ongoing debates about Social Security's future stability, what proactive steps can you start thinking about or taking now to bolster your own financial security in retirement? Something that gives you peace of mind, regardless of exactly how these policy debates play out.
That's a really important question to ponder. Definitely food for thought.
Welcome to Financial Area. Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Rachel.
Today on the Deep Dive, we're tackling 2 big Social Security topics that I know are on a lot of minds.
Yeah, definitely.
First, what the crystal ball is saying about benefit changes coming in 2026, and also, what's up with payment schedules this month, May 2025?
Right, potential hiccups there. We've sifted through the info from CNET and Finger Lakes One to, unpack what you really need to know.
Okay, so let's kick things off looking ahead to 2026. The COLA, the cost of living adjustment.
Exactly. Now, COLA, just as a quick reminder for maybe newer listeners, it's that annual adjustment to Social Security benefits.
Helps keep pace with inflation.
Right? Pretty much. It's designed to reflect the average change in prices for, well, everyday goods and services. It's tied to an index called the CPI-W.
The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. Bit of a mouthful.
It is. Think of it like a measuring stick for how